Danny Masterson was a familiar face on television screens, best known for his role in the popular sitcom That 70s Show. His portrayal of Stephen Hyde, the sarcastic and rebellious teenager, made him a household name and endeared him to millions of fans around the world. The show, which aired from 1998 to 2006, was a cultural phenomenon, and Masterson's character was a key part of its success. His career, however, took a dramatic turn in 2017 when multiple women came forward with disturbing allegations of sexual assault. These allegations were not just a few isolated incidents but a series of claims that painted a troubling picture of Masterson's behavior over several years. The women, who were once part of his close social circle, described harrowing experiences that they had kept silent about for a long time. These accusations, dating back to the early 2000s, sent shockwaves through Hollywood and forever tarnished Masterson's public image. The entertainment industry, which had once celebrated him, now found itself grappling with the dark side of one of its own. Colleagues and fans alike were left in disbelief as the allegations continued to surface, each one more damning than the last. The allegations also cast a harsh spotlight on the Church of Scientology, of which Masterson was a prominent member. The church, known for its secrecy and influence in Hollywood, was accused of protecting Masterson and silencing his accusers. This brought renewed scrutiny and criticism to the organization, which had already been under fire for its controversial practices and treatment of members. Masterson, who vehemently denied all allegations, found himself at the center of a growing storm. He maintained his innocence, claiming that the accusations were part of a coordinated effort to ruin his career. Despite his denials, the media frenzy surrounding the case only intensified, with every new development making headlines and fueling public interest. The Los Angeles Police Department launched an investigation into the claims, and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office ultimately filed 3 counts of rape against him in 2020. The legal proceedings were closely watched, with many seeing it as a test of the justice system's ability to hold powerful figures accountable. The case also highlighted the challenges faced by survivors of sexual assault in seeking justice. Masterson's arrest and subsequent trial marked a stunning fall from grace for the once celebrated actor. The courtroom became a battleground, with both sides presenting compelling arguments and evidence. The trial was a media spectacle, drawing attention from around the world and sparking debates about power, privilege, and accountability in Hollywood. The case also ignited a firestorm of controversy surrounding the Church of Scientology's alleged role in the scandal. Critics accused the church of using its influence to shield Masterson and obstruct justice. The public outcry was loud and persistent, with many calling for greater transparency and accountability from the organization. The scandal not only affected Masterson's career, but also brought significant reputational damage to the Church of Scientology. The women who accused Masterson of sexual assault painted a disturbing picture of his alleged behavior. They described incidents that were not only deeply traumatic, but also systematically covered up. These women bravely came forward, despite the fear and stigma associated with such allegations. They claimed that he used his position within the Church of Scientology to exert control and silence them. According to the accusers, Masterson's influence within the church was significant, and he allegedly leveraged this power to intimidate and manipulate his victims. The alleged victims, some of whom were Scientologists themselves at the time, described a pattern of intimidation and coercion. They recounted how they were pressured to remain silent and discouraged from seeking outside help. The fear of retribution was palpable, and it kept many of them from speaking out for years. They accused Masterson of drugging and raping them, leaving them traumatized and fearful of speaking out. The emotional and psychological toll on these women was immense, and the alleged assaults left lasting scars. Their stories were harrowing, filled with pain and a sense of betrayal. The accusers further alleged that when they did attempt to report the assaults to church officials, they were met with resistance and intimidation. Instead of receiving support, they were allegedly subjected to further victimization. The church's response, or lack thereof, added another layer of trauma to their already devastating experiences. They claimed that the church, rather than supporting them, engaged in a systematic effort to silence them and protect Masterson. This alleged cover-up raised serious ethical and legal questions about the church's practices and its commitment to justice. These allegations raised serious questions about the church's internal practices and its handling of sexual assault claims. The public outcry and media scrutiny that followed put immense pressure on the church to address these issues transparently. The case against Masterson and the church's alleged complicity became a focal point for discussions about power, accountability, and the rights of victims. The Church of Scientology has long been shrouded in controversy, facing accusations of cult-like practices, financial impropriety, and human rights abuses. Founded in the early 1950s, the organization has grown into a global entity with millions of followers, yet it remains one of the most secretive and controversial religious movements in modern history. The organization, founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard, has always maintained its legitimacy as a religion. Hubbard's teachings, encapsulated in the book Dianetics, laid the foundation for what would become a multi-billion-dollar empire. Despite its claims of offering spiritual enlightenment and self-improvement, the church has been dogged by allegations of manipulation and control. However, its critics argue that it is a dangerous and exploitative organization that preys on vulnerable individuals. Former members have recounted harrowing experiences of psychological abuse, financial exploitation, and intense pressure to conform to the church's strict doctrines. These testimonies paint a starkly different picture from the church's polished public image. In the context of the Masterson case, the church's history and practices came under intense scrutiny. Actor Danny Masterson, a prominent Scientologist, faced serious criminal charges, and the proceedings brought to light the church's alleged involvement in covering up misconduct. This case served as a catalyst for renewed public interest and media coverage of Scientology's controversial practices. The accusers' allegations of intimidation and silencing tactics resonated with long-standing criticisms of the organization. They claimed that the church employed aggressive measures to discredit and harass those who spoke out against it, a tactic known as fair game. These allegations added fuel to the fire of public outrage and skepticism. Former Scientologists have spoken out about the church's alleged use of fair game policies, which they claim are used to discredit and silence critics. These policies, they argue, are designed to protect the church's image at all costs, often at the expense of individuals' well-being and reputations. The emotional testimonies of these former members have been both compelling and disturbing. The church denies these allegations, but the Masterson case brought renewed attention to these controversial practices. Despite the church's efforts to maintain a positive public image, the ongoing scrutiny and legal battles have cast a long shadow over its operations, raising questions about its true nature and the extent of its influence. In 2019, 4 of Masterson's accusers filed a civil lawsuit against him and the Church of Scientology. The lawsuit alleged that the church engaged in a campaign of harassment and intimidation against them after they reported the alleged assaults to law enforcement. The plaintiffs claimed that they were subjected to stalking, surveillance, and other forms of harassment designed to silence them. The civil lawsuit marked a significant development in the case, expanding the legal battle beyond Masterson's criminal trial. It also signaled the accusers' determination to hold both Masterson and the church accountable for the alleged harm they had suffered. Section 5. A verdict delivered, but not the end. In May 2023, after a lengthy trial and weeks of deliberation, a Los Angeles jury found Danny Masterson guilty on 2 counts of forcible rape. The jury deadlocked on a 3rd count involving a former girlfriend. The guilty verdict was a major victory for the prosecution and for the women who had bravely come forward with their stories. Masterson, facing a potential sentence of 30 years to life in prison, maintained his innocence. His legal team vowed to appeal the verdict, arguing that there were significant legal errors during the trial. Section 6. A trial delayed, justice deferred. While the criminal trial concluded with Masterson's conviction, the civil lawsuit filed by his accusers remained ongoing. The trial date, initially scheduled for October 2023, was delayed until September 2025. This delay, attributed to court backlogs and the complexities of the case, meant that the accusers would have to wait even longer for their day in civil court. The delay in the civil case highlighted the often lengthy process of seeking justice through the legal system. For the accusers, it meant enduring additional years of legal wrangling and emotional strain as they sought accountability and closure. Section 7. Legal battles on 2 fronts. With Masterson's criminal appeal pending and the civil lawsuit moving forward, the legal battle was far from over. Masterson's legal team continued to fight vigorously, seeking to overturn his conviction and clear his name. Meanwhile, the plaintiffs in the civil case pressed on with their claims, determined to hold both Masterson and the Church of Scientology accountable for the alleged harm they had endured. The parallel legal proceedings created a complex and intertwined legal landscape. The outcome of Masterson's appeal could potentially impact the civil case and vice versa. The stakes were high for all parties involved, with the potential for significant legal and financial consequences. Section 8. Implications for Scientology. The Masterson case had significant implications for the Church of Scientology. The allegations of sexual assault, cover-up and intimidation struck at the heart of the organization's credibility and reputation. The case also raised questions about the Church's influence and its relationship with its celebrity members. The Church of Scientology has vehemently denied any wrongdoing in connection with the Masterson case. However, the negative publicity surrounding the case has undoubtedly tarnished the organization's image. The case has also emboldened former Scientologists and critics to speak out against the Church, further fueling the controversy and scrutiny. Section 9. Unanswered questions remain. As the legal battles continue, many unanswered questions remain. Will Masterson's criminal conviction be upheld on appeal? Will the civil lawsuit against him and the Church of Scientology be successful? What will the long-term impact of this case be on the Church of Scientology's reputation and practices? The Masterson case is a complex and multifaceted saga that has captivated public attention. It is a story about power, influence, and the pursuit of justice. It is also a stark reminder of the devastating impact of sexual assault and the importance of holding perpetrators accountable for their actions. Only time will tell how this case will ultimately be resolved and what its lasting legacy will be.